Hey there everyone, it's Genevieve, and they just dropped a massive teaser for the upcoming fall 2025 test realm, which is usually when we get a brand new world. However, what they showed us was DARKMOOR. I mean, it's already been hinted at. We've already had a housing bundle spoiled, and if you have completed the Selenopolis storyline, you know that DARKMOOR is mentioned in there, as well as a little hint in Liches and Legends Gauntlet, but I don't really see the Liches and Legends Gauntlet as concrete evidence as opposed to storyline content that tells me a yes. But this is an obvious, hey everyone, looky here, it's DARKMOOR, it's coming. Just be aware that this is storyline content, so if you have not finished the storyline content in Selenopolis, you won't be able to enter the new DARKMOOR world content. And even if you can get into Test Realm because of membership or purchases, make sure that you finish the Selenopolis questline content in the game before the Test Realm goes live, because they port over all of your assets not the day before they open it. I promise you that. It's usually a week before. However, we don't know exactly what we're going to get. Back in 2014, when they introduced the 4 dungeons, DARKMOOR was for the highest of level of wizards. You had to be level 100 just to be able to get into this dungeon, and that is because you have learned shadow magic, and by completing this dungeon, or at least the second part of 3, then you are able to learn a brand new shadow enhanced spell. So far, this is what we're able to see in-game currently as far as DARKMOOR. We have the DARKMOOR Castle here, which is absolutely stunning inside and out. It has a giant wall barricading it from the rest of wherever we are. And then over here, for no good reason other than just to have fun and mess with your friends, there is a little mini maze garden type thing over here. It has nothing to do with any storyline, and there's nothing to do in here other than, well, just play around and also collect reagents. However, there's some interesting hinty-hoos, like this sewer thing here. When they first told us that we were going to go into the sewers or the catacombs in Wizard101, I really thought that you were going to go in here because there's already a sewer portal, but I guess I was denied. There's almost nothing to see in here. If you want to see what you can find in here with photomancy, you should go check out that video. And of course, there is this other building right over here. It looks pretty darn cool, actually. And until you do some spell quests in the future for highest level wizards, you're not going to do anything with this. I mean, I always assumed it was this dude, Harker's house, but if you know your Dracula lore, then yeah, you know that that's not going to be his house. But as you can see, I don't have any quests that'll send me in here, so I can't go in here. Once you complete the parts of the castle part of the dungeon, you have access to this portal to my right, which takes you to the DARKMOOR graveyard. Now, there's nothing to see over here if you use photomancy. However, if you turn around, this is where the good stuff is. There's a broken, looks like it used to be a walkway from Castle Darkmoor all the way over to the graveyard. However, it is demolished. You can see the cool castle in the background. It's very interesting, and I love how stylized it is with the kind of curving. And then if you go inside the graveyard dungeon, over there to the left, there will be the Audrey 2 lookalike stone key boss, or you can farm for some spell elements. And then if you go on the inside, that's where some Malistaire stuff happens. Also, it's kind of cool that once you're level 100, you can enter Castle Darkmoor, either the tapestry if you craft it, or this really cool portal right here. My Death Wizard is not old enough to go to Darkmoor yet. However, he does have the first Darkmoor house that they released. This one is very, very nice, and our beautiful and massive interior of the Darkmoor Manor. That is what this one is called. And by the way, it does have a giant playable organ in the back. Very, very nice. I never realized how amazing that bat looks. Just saying. This house is actually pretty tiny, and it's the exact same building as over in the graveyard. That's kind of interesting. And it's completely surrounded by a dense forest of dead trees, which is kind of sad. I wish we could see up a little bit higher, but these are just layers, so we're not going to see anything. Now, some cool housing items that they've shown us from Darkmoor are the Darkmoor Mausoleum painting, gorgeous Dragon of Darkmoor portrait, the Howling Cheney portrait, Moon over Castle Darkmoor, and Castle Observatory painting. Except for these two paintings right here, the painting of Castle Darkmoor and the Carpathes Village painting, these other ones are something that you encounter or see while doing the 4 dungeons version of Castle Darkmoor. However, this village and this building are not, because this is not what it looks like. So it's very, very interesting. This one is what the dungeon one looks like. Not this one here, and not this. These look very much like what we saw in the video that showed us all of the unused and mostly finished assets of Darkmoor and Pirate 101. That makes me very, very sad that we don't get to do that one, but I think these are a great way of guessing what it might be looking like, especially since these buildings right here will look a little bit familiar in just a moment. Let's check out the spoiler. This thing is so gorgeous. I was hoping that this was going to be our transition screen when we go to the world, but 'tis not. I think it's just one of our beautiful teaser images that they love to show us. Now, don't get your hopes up about this being exactly the way it's going to look. These are just, I don't want to say concept art, but this is what they want it to look like. It doesn't mean it's going to look exactly like this, but we have a building that looks like somebody's home over here. It's got lights. We've got the Darkmoor Archway, which is a fairly common drop, and I do believe some plants like it. I have the Darkmoor Gargoyle right over here, which is the same ones that are on here, and here, and here, and here, and basically everywhere in Darkmoor. And then there's another larger house that has lit windows. And then over here in the blurriness, you can see the roof of another house. What's kind of cool is that there's this winding path that goes all the way up to the castle. But there's another side one over here. Don't know what that's going to be for. Maybe it'll take you somewhere else. But there's also a rock wall right over here. Maybe it's a retaining wall to protect the things down here, or it could be something to keep things out. But I do love that the path leading up to the castle itself is nice and lit, and it's got these cool banners. Very, very nice. Oh, and thank you very much. I appreciate, one, the dark and spooky atmosphere, but the corn stalks. They're commonly used as corn mazes. So I am super duper excited for this. I can't wait to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions, and I can't wait to see even more spoilers. Even though it says it's for fall 2025 test realm, fall is just around the corner. It is the 29th, which means basically July's over. I mean, school's going to be starting and test realm's going to be happening, and it's all going to come really fast. So I cannot wait. I'm so excited for this. What do y'all think? What do you want to see in this Darkmoor? Do you think it's just a little tiny zone? Do you think it's an entire world? What do you think is going to be happening in this test realm update that includes Darkmoor? Thanks so much for checking this out, and we will see y'all real soon. Bye bye.